When you think of Intel's Haswell generation of CPUs, you think of processors like the i5-4690K and the i7-4770, but no one ever speaks about this one, the Intel Xeon E3-1241V3, a CPU which set me back by just a mere £20. And I think this one isn't talked about enough. And let me tell you now, for just £20, this CPU offers some incredible value. But don't take my word for it though, because I've put it through its paces to see how it actually gets on in 2023. This Xeon E3-1241V3 is essentially an i7-4770 with no integrated graphics, but it has ECC support. It also has the updated thermal interface material, or TIM for short, and what this essentially means is it will more effectively transfer the heat between the CPU cores and the IHS of the processor, therefore improving your cooling performance. From this point onwards, I'm just going to refer to it as the Xeon. I'm not repeating the product name every time because it will make the video at least 10 minutes longer than what it should be, because it is an extremely long product name. However, the specs of this Xeon were very beefy for the time, with 4 cores, 8 threads and 8 megabytes of L3 cache, which is shared between the 4 cores, and all of this was built on the Haswell architecture on the 22nm process. And just like its consumer i7 counterpart, the Xeon has AVX2 instruction sets, which means that every single game should run in 2023 on this processor. But to find out if the performance is any good, I've tested it on the same makeshift test bench which I tested the i5-4460 on. The only difference this time around is I'm using a Darkrock 4 caller to call the CPU instead of the Snowman, and let me tell you now, the Darkrock 4 is supremely overkill for this CPU, just letting you know. But the rest of the specs of this system are a Gigabyte H81-M S2H motherboard, 16GB of dual rank dual channel DDR3 memory running at 1600 MHz, and a 500GB SATA SSD. The GPU that I've used today is the Vega 56, which is the same GPU I used for the i5-4460 video, and I actually think that the Vega 56 is not a bad pairing for this CPU. For comparison purposes, I've compared the Xeon's performance to the i5-12400F in my test bench system, and all specs for both systems will be listed in the description below. And lastly, all testing today has been done at 1080p without the aid of upscaling. So let's see how the Xeon gets on in 2023. Kicking off the benchmarks today with Fortnite, and this is a game that likes to heavily use CPUs. That's thanks to the Unreal Engine which Fortnite runs on, and it's just inherently a very CPU intensive title. Setting it to DirectX 12 with everything set to low, the Xeon got 173 FPS on average with a 1% low of 105. It trails the i5-12400F by 29% on average, as that got 223 FPS on average with a 1% low of 174. So Fortnite is definitely playable on an old Xeon like this, especially paired with a GPU like a Vega 56, and I'd probably say this is actually a pretty sensible GPU pairing, but either way, Fortnite is playable on both of these CPUs. Next game up is Forza Horizon 5, and from what I've seen, this game doesn't really care that much about which CPU you've got running. Setting it to the medium preset here, and on average the Xeon got 104 FPS with a 1% low of 80. This is a much better showing than the previous i5-4460 which I tested, so this is a pretty good result in my opinion. However, on average it does trail the i5-12400F by just 10%, so that is something to keep in mind, but by trailing the i5 by 10%, that's a pretty incredible feat in my opinion. As we saw from our previous CPU benchmarking video, Cyberpunk doesn't really care which CPU you've got, which is pretty surprising. However, setting it to the low preset but keeping the textures on high, the Xeon got 63 FPS on average with 47 FPS for the 1% low figure. This falls behind the i5-12400F by about 5% on average, as that got 66 FPS with a 1% low of 53. So an old Xeon isn't necessarily a bad idea for Cyberpunk, depending on which CPU you pair with it of course. Next up is Counter-Strike 2, and when I tested the i5-4460 I made a little bit of a mistake. This is because the low preset automatically enables FSR and puts that onto balanced. I don't like testing with upscaling technology, so I've manually disabled that in today's tests. Even so, on average the Xeon got 116 FPS with a 1% low of 65 FPS. This isn't particularly great performance if I'm honest. I was expecting around 144, but from what I've seen, Counter-Strike 2 is actually pretty intensive. This results in the Xeon trailing the i5-12400F by a massive 124% with the average figures, as that got 260 FPS on average with a 1% low of 121. So if you want to play Counter-Strike 2, I'd recommend a much newer CPU. The next game on the list is The Witcher 3, and this one was pretty surprising as well. I didn't realise how intensive this game was on the CPU. Setting it to the medium preset here on the DirectX 11 API, and this netted 69 FPS on average with 50 FPS for the 1% low with the Xeon CPU, which is, in a void, not too bad. And it's a good thing I've compared the results to my newer i5. This is because on average, the Xeon trails that by 80%. This is a massive reduction in performance here, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Xeon for The Witcher 3. However, it is still certainly playable, and the 1% lows were looking fine as well, but you're just losing, on average, a lot of performance here. The last title up today is Rainbow Six Siege, and this is a very competitive esports shooter, and for that reason I've set it to the low preset. On the Intel Xeon, this netted 234 FPS on average with a 155 FPS for that 1% low figure. This is not bad performance in my opinion, and it is certainly playable even if you've got a 240Hz monitor. However, it does trail the 12400F by 59% on average, as that got 372 FPS with a 1% low of 274. So you are losing some performance in Rainbow Six Siege. It is pretty substantial at just under 60%, but it is playable on both of these systems, and I think that's what a lot of gamers are going to be looking for. So if you've got an older system like this, you can still play Rainbow Six Siege just fine. You'll just be losing a lot of performance on average. With the gaming benchmarks out of the way, it's onto the productivity scores now, and looking at Cinebench R23, the single core performance of the Xeon is not actually too bad, to be fair. It scored 870 in the single core test, and in all fairness, this does trail the 12400F by 94%, as that got 1685. But to be fair, for 2014, I don't think the single core performance is too bad. And this just basically backs up what we saw in the games today. The single thread performance is not too bad by the standards of 2014. By modern day standards, it's not particularly brilliant. Looking at the multi-core score, and this is where the Xeon does start to fall behind quite a bit, but then again, it's only a 4-core, 8-thread chip. This is because it scored 4198 for the multi-core test in Cinebench, whereas the 12400F scored 12,462. This is a decrease of 197% with the Xeon, which is to be expected as the i5 is a 6-core 12-thread chip, and each core is much stronger, and it's running on DDR4 memory as well, which is a given for extra CPU performance. Moving on to CPU-Z now, and this basically tells the same story as Cinebench. As the Xeon got 391 and the i5-12400F got 688, this is a reduction of 76% with the Xeon. And moving over to the multi-core, and this basically tells the same story as Cinebench. It does fall quite far behind the 12400F by, well, 148% in the multi-thread department, but that's not too bad. As I've said, 8 threads is totally fine for gaming in 2023, but 12 threads gives you a bit more headroom. So overall, not a bad showing from the Xeon chip here. Overall then, I think this £20 Xeon put up a very strong performance, all things considered, in the 6 games tested today. It did lag behind the i5-12400F by about 52% overall, which I don't think it's that bad considering that it's literally 8 years older than the i5, so yeah, that's not too bad in my opinion at all. The best performing games were Cyberpunk and Forza Horizon 5, and in these titles, the Xeon barely lagged behind the 12400F. I suspect if you were to put both these systems side by side and turn off the FPS counter, I think you'll have a hard time deciphering which CPU is which. Performance this time around in Fortnite wasn't too bad either. There were no weird technical issues like we saw on the i5-4460, so that's a big benefit there. Overall though, it is a bit slow in Fortnite compared to the i5, which is to be expected, but it is very playable this time around and there's no weird problems going on either. The games which disappointed me the most were The Witcher 3 and Counter-Strike 2, but this was pretty much to be expected because Counter-Strike 2, it needs very fast modern CPUs as it is pretty intensive from what I've seen, so there is that. And The Witcher 3, I suspect if you were to raise some of the graphical settings, I reckon your performance would be more in line with a modern processor. But overall though, I think that this Xeon shows how well Haswell has actually aged. It's aged very well, all things considered, definitely better than the FX CPUs of the era. And I think this is doubly true if you pair it with a sensible GPU like the Vega 56 I tested with today, or maybe something even lower end like the RX 580 8GB. Unlike the 4-threaded i5s of this era, the 8 threads of the Intel Xeon are what saves it in 2023. The single-threaded performance of Haswell CPUs, which I've probably said quite a few times now in this video, isn't actually too bad. Yes, it's about half as good as modern CPUs, but then again, that's 8 or 9 years of IPC improvements, which is to be expected. I'd be pretty concerned if newer CPUs didn't have better single thread performance. Yes, you will be losing some performance compared to something even like the modern i3s, or maybe something even that launched a few years ago on AM4. This is a given. These are stronger platforms than Intel's LGA 1150, which released about 10 years ago now. And this is why I don't recommend building an LGA 1150 system from scratch now. Yes, you can find the motherboards for pretty cheap on eBay, and DDR3 memory is absolutely dirt cheap these days. But why would you? You could spend a little bit more money and get a system that is running AM4, which is a way stronger system. Yes, it's not currently fully supported by AMD, but you've got features like DDR4 support, even PCIe Gen 4 support on some AM4 motherboards and AM4 processors as well. And then you can always upgrade to something way faster like the 5800X3D, which is still an excellent gaming CPU. But then again, if you're on a really tight budget and you want some decent gaming performance in some esports and maybe even some slightly older AAA games, I think Haswell's not too bad if you're on a very tight budget. So just know, if you've got an 8-threaded Haswell CPU, you can still certainly game with it in 2023. You could probably even get away with some newer AAA games as well, depending on the GPU you have it paired with, but I wouldn't really recommend pairing it with anything higher than the Vega 56 I use today. Maybe this, or something along the lines of a GTX 1080 at the absolute maximum. Also, if you're in the game of PC flipping, Haswell i7s and Xeons are excellent choices for budget PC flips, but you probably knew that already. So if you enjoyed this video, there are 2 tech videos right here which might be right up your alley, and if you got this far into the video, I want to thank you for sticking around this long, and maybe even ask you for a like if you like the video. With that being said, I'm going to leave this one here, and I'll catch you in the next one.